Hi, this is Pat, and in this video we're going to talk about moving text from a word processing application like Word to your website. There's a few important things to understand about the difference between websites and word processing programs. Word processing programs use certain sets of codes to define spaces, line breaks, font sizes, and the like, and those codes are specifically designed to be read by the word processing application. Let's take a look at some real-world examples. So here I've got a pretty typical example of some content for an upcoming worship schedule, and I'm going to copy that content from the word processing application, and I'm going to paste that content into the editor. When I do that, you'll notice that there's a tool here that says source code. And I can take a look at this source code, and the first thing I notice is that the headlines and content has been converted and the formatting has been removed. Now that's a good thing because the formatting codes that tell Word to make this bold and underlined are not codes that most web browsers can understand. And so those underlying codes need to come out. How can we apply proper web formatting? Well, the tool has some simple formatting options here. We can just select from our headings to apply the formatting that we want. I'm just going to say heading 2 for this one, and I'm going to say heading 3, I'm going to say heading 3 for this one. And now I'm going to click Update. Let's go back and take a look at how those codes are now applied. Now we have the proper HTML codes to allow the formatting for the page. Now, just as a refresher, you can identify those by clicking on Site-Wide Features and Design and clicking on the Design tab. There you'll see the settings for all of the text styling codes. Another way that you can see them on your site is to go to your site to the home page and add /style guide to the end of the URL. And you'll see this page where you see examples of how that text will lay out on your website. All right, let's take another look at this example. Now, when we're moving content from a word processing application, word processing applications are designed to print content onto a piece of paper, and paper sizes don't change. However, on websites are viewed on many different devices, sometimes on tablets and sometimes on phones. And here we notice that as we view this or simulate viewing this content on a smaller device, the formatting that was moved over from Word starts to break up, and we don't really have a good sense of when the worship schedule is when we look on our mobile device. So how can we address that? Well, let's go back into the editor, and I want to show you back in the source code tool how these are being laid out. So here, when we go up to the top, we see that 7:30 a.m., and then we see lots of these spaces. This ampersand NBSP : is the HTML code for a space. Now, even though this may have been produced by using tabs, that's not an HTML code. That's a word processing code. And so those codes are an example of what doesn't translate. So let's think about a different approach for sharing this content without spaces. The first thing I'm going to do is remove these spaces and get that content all lining up in one row. Okay, and I'm going to leave the bottom unedited so that we can see how that works. The next thing I'm going to do is highlight this text and turn it into a bulleted list. These lists are pretty common ways of sharing content on a website. Now I'm simply going to add a new line, and I'm going to indent that line so that it indicates that it belongs to the line above. So one more indentation, and let me hit return, and one more indentation, And now we'll do the last with one more indentation. Now I'm going to click Update, and let's go back out and refresh this view and see how it looks. All right, so now we see formatted the headline giving the dates, this bolded area telling us the day, and then the times with the event underneath. Let's see how that translates now onto a smaller device. So if we were to look at this on our mobile devices, we can see now, we are able to read on our mobile device that at 7:30 is the men's breakfast and at 9 is the vestry meeting. If we were to scroll down here, it becomes much more difficult to read that across mobile devices. There's a lot of examples of how word processing codes are different than HTML codes. So when moving content from a word processing application to your website, many of those codes are going to be stripped out by the system so that that formatting can be applied using the HTML system tools to have your page look just great across all devices. Thanks.